Hello and welcome to Round Glass. I'm Vishvapani Blomfield and thank you so much for joining me for this session in the series Beyond Breathing. And in today's practice, we're going to let the different pulls on our mind come into balance. So, what throws you off balance and how do you get your balance back? It'd be great to hear from you. And you can use the chat to share your experience. So some people have already done that. What throws me off balance is stress from my boss, says one person. And turning to activities like running, swimming, or boxing help me. Boxing, I like that. Hunger throws me off. Yes, it does, doesn't it? Grabbing quick sugar brings you back. That's serious. It brings you back, but not in a balanced way, really, does it? So, this idea of balance is very important in Buddhism, in spiritual traditions. You know, the Buddha sits like this. We have the Buddha sitting behind me, completely poised, equanimous. You know, whatever comes at him, he doesn't lose his cool. That's the image. And actually, the stories we have about the Buddha show that in practice in his life. It's like an image that one person used for the Buddha's state of mind is imagine a completely even plane with a completely round sphere, just poised. It can roll in any direction, but it's still. And that's fine. That's very attractive. That speaks to something quite deep within me, I find. But there's also life with all of its pulls and its excitement and its beauty. There's the things that I want to do. There's the contribution that I want to make to the world. I don't know if I do just want to be still all the time. Speaking to friends, speaking to people who come into meditation, I think that's quite a common response. Both finding something very attractive in that idea of peace, but also something that doesn't quite do justice to everything that we need. And I think that is a tension that's just part of life, really. Mindfulness is the faculty in Buddhist teachings that helps us to bring these things into balance. So I have here a little toy that exemplifies this, illustrates it. It's called a Weeble. So if you can see, if I knock the Weeble, do it side to side, see it a bit more clearly. If I knock the Weeble, it wobbles. It was wobbling all over the place, but it comes back. Weebles wobble, but they don't fall down. Let's see if I can knock it a bit more. Yeah, still working. All right, okay, you can. It's actually going to come back because of its center of gravity. So that's really what we need in our mind. We need to be like a Weeble. We need a center of gravity. Yeah. So we will move, but we're drawn back to stillness. You know, that's we're encouraging that to be the way our mind inclines. And by putting our time, our energy into meditation, we're strengthening that, we're increasing the ballast, we're strengthening the tendency of our mind to come back into balance. So let's just explore that in the practice itself. Balance, in a way, is quite a good model to have for lots of things in meditation. For example, how we sit. So, you know, am I slightly imbalanced? You know, where is center? Let's just play with that. Yeah, or maybe rocking backwards and forwards. And we find that there's a point where the weight rests down. That's where we can sit most comfortably. The weight falls through the bones into the support. Move your head in the same way. Just move your head from side to side. And then there's a point backwards and forwards as well. We'll find where the head naturally rests. There's a balance in our posture between being comfortable, that's important. There's no merit in being uncomfortable for the sake of it. So we want to find a way that we can sit that feels okay. But against that, we need to set the need to be awake and alert. So let's just play with that. And we're playing with this idea of balance. Let's just take a deep breath. So as we breathe out, let's really focus on the process of letting go and settling. Okay, let's do that again. A deeper breath. Breathing in and filling with energy, and breathing out, really settling, really letting go. Let's keep focusing on the out breath. So breathing in, breathing out, settling down. Now, just shifting our focus to the in-breath. Feeling the breath coming in. Chest opening and expanding. Feeling the height of the body. And then releasing as we breathe out. And doing this again, focusing on the in-breath with a slightly deeper breath. Body rising, expanding, And if we do this a few times, we probably find there's a little bit of tension coming in. So let's balance that now. Breathing in, rising up. Breathing out, settling down. Breathing in, rising. Breathing out, settling. Now, we don't need to exaggerate that or move consciously in that way. There's a natural balance in the breath. It's a cycle of rising and falling. And noticing the breath, noticing the movement of the breath, we can also notice the feeling that goes with that. The feeling of energy rising and energy settling. Okay, so let's just stay with these themes. The movement of the breath and the movement of our energy. Breath flows in, breath flows out. And just noticing the physical changes. So we can talk about the rhythm of the breathing, but we can really feel it. We can really feel that our body is in this cycle again and again. Muscles become active as we breathe in. They need to expand and stretch just a little bit, but that is what they're doing. And then they ease, soften, release, let go as we breathe out. Breath flowing in, breath flowing out. Now, what about our energy? So how do we experience the body's energy? Perhaps we can feel certain parts of the body that are more activated. There's a greater sense of intensity. It might manifest as tension or perhaps tingling. So we balance our energy by bringing anywhere that feels energetic or energized into our awareness and into the practice. You can imagine that the breath is flowing into any area of energy. And it might be that the energy feels restless and fidgety. Perhaps some anxiety. In which case we breathe in a gentle, warm, calming breath. And then we can have a sense of absorbing that energy. And one image for this is like kneading dough. There's water and there's flour and there's the need to, and we knead them together. So everything comes absorbed, saturated. Just absorbing, drinking in any feeling of energy in the body. It might be that we're feeling sleepy or dull or heavy. So again, noticing how that feels in the body. And once again, we're imagining or sensing that the breath is flowing into that area. This time bringing in a sense of life and vitality. How does that feeling of heaviness, tiredness or sleepiness manifest in the body? Where do we feel it? How do we experience it? Letting the breath flow into the bright areas with a sense of calm, the dull areas with a sense of life. So with this sort of balancing of energy in mind, we'll just stay with the breath for a little while. It might be that what we experience is not so much energy as thoughts. We're off somewhere else. In which case, we need to balance that with coming back to a greater sense of presence, of stillness. Staying present, feeling the breath moving in the body. Every time thoughts come, gently guiding ourselves back to breathing, to being here. Breath flowing in, breath flowing out. and staying with this idea of energy. Working with our energy as we sit. If we do start to come into a greater sense of stillness, noticing how that feels, how the body feels, how our energy is, our thoughts, our feelings. Noticing what's happening in our experience and asking ourselves, how can I come back into balance, like that weeble, wobbling back to stillness? Perhaps we can ask, what do I need? What need is there that is slightly off balance? Just pose that as a question, see if an answer comes. Maybe that we need nothing, nothing external, nothing outside the meditation. In the last part of this meditation, we'll shift the balance again, slightly. I invite you to, if your eyes are closed, just half open them. And for a moment, taking in the room around us, whatever we see in our field of vision, not looking all around, and listening. So what we're doing now is we're opening our awareness to external input. Balancing that with a sense of being inside, half and half. This is what we call 50-50 practice. Aware of our external environment, aware of our internal world. And then we'll continue that process of opening out our awareness, of maybe looking around now, having a sense of the space we're in, a sense of the body, which has just been still. How about moving it a little bit? Just moving the body. So in this way, we're making a transition. We've been doing it gradually from inside to outside. And let's just take a few more minutes to really work with that, to absorb the practice. There are lots of aspects of balance, aren't there? There's inside and outside, feelings and thoughts, energy, being active, being still. There are so many different dimensions of experience. So we have some questions. Let's go to some questions. I'm really drawn to meditation, but I'm also really busy. How can I find the balance? Well, I think this is one of the big questions for anyone who does meditate. Unless we become some hermit or something like that, even then life probably brings all sorts of things to us. And I think the key is exploring it, but in exploring things, being willing to make changes, being willing to let things go, to simplify things. Let the meditation have its voice. Let that kind of activity speak to us. I think really in the end, this is my experience, there is no answer to this. In the end, we have to become bigger. We have to become a bigger person who is able to both be active and be still. And that's a lifelong process. Okay, so when I meditate, I feel very sleepy. What can I do about staying awake? Well, that's quite a simple kind of balance. In talking about energy, again, this is something to explore. What is it that helps you to stay awake? Now, with sleepiness, it might be you are just really tired. It might even be that you've been overriding your tiredness, in which case, see if you can find a way to sleep more. But it might be that we need ways to engage more. We need to find ways to find more interest in the experience of being quiet. That can take time. It might be not intrinsically interesting to us. So you've probably heard of the middle way as one of the Buddha's teachings. It's very important, really. It's a sense of balancing effort and stillness, also balancing faith and wisdom. There's a middle way, which suggests really that there's an art to not going too far in one direction, not getting really obsessed by, I'm going to be incredibly active, or I'm going to be completely still. We need to be intelligent about these things. And the faculty that helps us to balance these two is mindfulness. So we're bringing awareness into this whole area of our life that we can speak about as balance, balancing energy. And I've said already that this is a long process. It might even be a lifelong process. One word that I find really helpful is integration. We're integrating the bit of ourselves that wants to be, becoming rich and famous, with the bit of ourselves that wants to have a quiet life. They need to become integrated. There are these separate selves in our experience which need their space. They need their voice. And gradually we can integrate them. And meditation is actually a really good way to become more integrated, to become more whole, become more of wholehearted, unified kind of person, less conflicted and divided. So, to finish this theme of balance, I have a wonderful quote, a very famous quote from the Bible, from the book of Ecclesiastes, or Koheleth, as it's called in the Hebrew Bible. There is a time for everything, a season for every activity under the heavens. Time to be born and a time to die, a time to plant and a time to uproot, a time to kill and a time to heal, a time to tear down and a time to build, a time to weep and a time to laugh, a time to mourn and a time to dance, a time to scatter stones and a time to gather them, a time to embrace and a time to refrain from embracing, a time to search and a time to give up, a time to keep and a time to throw away, a time to tear and a time to mend, a time to be silent and a time to speak, a time to love and a time to hate, a time for war and a time for peace. So thank you for sharing this time. Please continue to explore your meditation practice with us. Check out our daily live meditations at round.glass or on our app. Have a great day and maintain your balance.